I'm Ginger Harris. I'm the executive director of the Get Together. And the Get Together in normal times, whatever those are, would meet together each month with business people. Our audience actually is business people who want to use their professional skills and expertise to help nonprofits without raising money. And so we've gone online like everyone else has, and we've started doing these workshops for both nonprofit and for business people. And so we welcome you to this today, and we think it's going to be a great workshop. We are all about being on time, so we will finish by 12 o'clock. And we're excited that Gabrielle Baumeier is our presenter. She has done a series of these workshops for us, and people keep coming back, and they've asked for her time and again. And so we asked her, would you please do another one? And if we play our cards right, she might do another one after this. But Gabrielle Baumeier is the co-founder and the president of Reason to Race. It's an online platform, fundraising platform. Some of y'all are nodding your heads. It's phenomenal. If you check it out, she'll give you some information about that later. She and her team have helped over 400 nonprofits raise over $6 million by doing various types of races. And so not only does she do that, but she also is a consultant on just about everything I can come up with so far. So everything that I can come up with as a need, she says, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. I can help with that. And so we've asked her to do Excel, the basics. We're so glad that you're here. I'm going to turn it over to her and let her take the rest of this time. And we just hope you enjoy your time with us today. Thanks, Gabrielle.
Great. Thank you so much, Ginger. Honored to be here. Appreciate the invitation. All right, let's start with how to participate in one of my webinars. So first off, we have a number of people on the call, so we did put everybody on mute to keep the level of background noise down. But I do want you to enter your questions and any comments in the chat box. And I'm the type of presenter where I ask you questions, so there will be times when I kind of pose a question out there to you. So if you're ready to have that chat box there and you can give me some feedback and some answers, that would be great, because as we go through the different modules, I do want to check in and make sure everybody's on the same track and keeping up. And then be ready to take notes. So if you've attended one of my webinars before, you know that I'm going to be throwing out tips and tricks. So it's best if you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil right next to you, so you can write down the shortcuts that I give you and the tips that I give you. Because while, yes, the session is being recorded and you can always go back and watch it and listen to it, I found that it works really well if you just grab those tips right when you heard them, put them on a single sheet of paper, and then go back and practice them later, which is the name of the game. All right, let's get into our agenda. So first off, we're going to go through and just look at some basic formulas in Excel. You know as well as I do, Excel is a seemingly limitless tool which has a lot that you can do. So I want to start with the basics and give you some know-how of how to use them effectively and use them quickly so that you can get the output you want in Excel really, really fast. Second thing is we're going to work with multiple notebooks, and they're also called tabs in Excel. So I'm sure you've seen it. The bottom of Excel, you have all these different tabs. Well, those tabs actually talk to each other, and you can do some neat things with those tabs. And so I'll give you some tips on how to maximize information talking between those tabs really easily. And then there's a feature called Format Painter. Format Painter is actually in all the Microsoft products. It's a way for you to take the format of one cell or the format of multiple cells and apply it to other ones very easily. So once you get the bolding and the italicize and the color and you get it exactly the way you want, you don't have to redo that for another set of cells. You can basically just copy the format that you've already created and apply it to something else as well. Next is filtering. So with filtering, because Excel is just a list of all this information, the list can be long. You can have thousands and thousands of records, and sometimes you want to compile it and put it into a more manageable format and maybe just group it and filter it and sort it to just the criteria that you want. So we'll play a little bit with that feature. And then hiding and deleting columns. So again, Excel, there's seemingly limitless fields and columns you can have, and sometimes you don't need to see some columns or rows on certain reports. So I'll show you a quick way on how to remove them, delete them, and maneuver around those as well. And then there's the number formatting. So you look at Excel and it's just all this raw data, and yes, you can add color formatting and you can do different things to make it look pretty. That goes really far. When you're putting together a report and it has a nice border, it has a nice header, it has some color to it, gives it some pizzazz, gives it some flavor, we'll leave that part of the agenda to the end. So after we maneuver all our data, get it exactly the way we want it, looking in terms of what cells and columns that we have, then we'll put some pizzazz to it and make it look really good. And then we have shortcuts and hotkeys, which is the glue that holds all of this together. So as we're going through these different features, again, I'm going to throw out hotkeys and shortcuts for you to use as we're doing each of these 6 agenda items. So when I tell you, hey, here's a hotkey coming, just know that you'll be ready to write it down so you can look at it later. All right, so let me go ahead and show you here. This is our output that we're going to create today. This is our final 2-part report, and I obviously just made up a scenario. So you might be with an organization where you need to track program status and you need to track volunteer status for your, perhaps you're with a nonprofit, but the name of the game is getting this formatted to a place where it's easy to read and it's presentable and it displays your work at the level that you want it displayed. So this is our output that we're going to create for today. I set it up basically in 2 parts, so we'll do some data manipulation at first, and then if you are not keeping track and following to the T on the data, it's okay. When we get to the second part of the session, I'll already have the data in there for you so you can maneuver it and make this formatting to your liking. Now, does everybody, really quickly, I sent you all a sheet, an Excel workbook that had some sample data in it. Did you get that already? Do you guys have that with you? Okay, so yes, great, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Now, if by chance you did not, so Catherine, if you don't have it, if you can text Ginger privately and she can email it to you, you can do that and get that on your screen there, and Tommy as well. Okay, so first section here. So again, have your Excel sheet ready. So let's go into first talking about the basic formulas. So we're going to go in and we're going to do some simple adding and subtracting and whatnot. And again, when we're going through these different sections, you'll see when I put on the slide here on the bottom right-hand slide, when I use that blue little image there, that means I'm going to give you some shortcuts in this session. So be ready. We're going to share some shortcuts with this basic formula session. So here's your first one. This is how you do a summing of columns. So you have a lot of different data, maybe in different cells, and you want to get the summation of them right there at the bottom. This is the key that you're going to use, and we'll practice it. So on your keyboard, I want you to find the Alt button, the Alt key. So just see where that is, and then the next key that you'll use is the plus and equal sign. So just remember this, the plus and the Alt key and the plus and equal. So keep that in your brain and perhaps write it down. So let's go into the Excel spreadsheet here. All right, so open up your sheet and we're going to go to the data entry tab that reads, it's the second one on your sheet, it reads program data entry. Now the scenario here is you work for a nonprofit and you serve children. Donna's unable to hear. Donna, if you can text or work with Ginger on that, that'd be great. Okay, so on the program data entry screen here, so you're a nonprofit and you work with children and you have, you keep a tabulation of how many people you serve every month. So we have data from January to May, and we're now in June, and we're going to put in our tallies and our numbers for June. So first thing we're going to do is put in some numbers in the June column, which is H. So let's just put in 2, 2, and 2. Very simple. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to sum this column. And I'm going to show you two ways first. So just watch me first. So one way you can sum up the data in this column is you can go over to the Formula tab and then click Auto Sum. That's one way to do it. And that's the long way to do it. I don't recommend doing that. So now watch me with my second way. So the second way to do it is you can highlight the 4 rows. So you highlight the 3 with data and the 1 without data, and then you click from the home screen, there's an auto sum button here. You click that and notice that 6 shows up. Now that still takes too long. So now you can do this part with me. Make sure your cursor is in the field for H7, which is below the 2s. And now you, on your keyboard, just hit Alt and then plus negative and then hit Enter. And that's the quickest way to get sums for a column. Did you get it? Let me know on the chat. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to sum up per row. So another way to do a summation is you can highlight from January, so you can do it on a row. So you highlight from January all the way over to total, and then again, you can click the auto sum on the panel or on the toolbar up at the top, or for each one of these fields, you can hit Alt plus equals, Alt plus equals. And then you get your text in there added, the summation added. Did that work? Let me know. Okay, great. Another way to add or to do an addition is you have what's called a fill. In this case, it's a fill down feature, or excuse me, fill over. So we're going to take the same calculation that's here on H7. So remember, this was adding up all the data in this column. We're going to take that same calculation and copy it over to our next column. So now you can click in the 6 and drag over with your, there's a little, on the bottom right hand side, there's a little square, green square. You can grab that over, and that function is called a fill. It's a fill over, really, because it's taking the calculation. Yes, thank you, Travis. So it's taking the calculation from one field and copying that calculation over to another. So now you have an addition of your total Q1 and Q2. Did that work? The sum is 89. Very good. Thank you, Travis. So this is what I did. What I didn't do was, well, I summed this first row. I needed to sum the second row and sum the third row. So now the total should be 120. So thank you, Travis, for that. Did you get 120? Okay, excellent. Okay, good. All right, so we got 120. All right, the next thing we're going to do is go over to the volunteer data. So let's go to the volunteer section, the tab for volunteer data, and now let's add in some other data as well. We're going to put 2s in for the June column, and this time, instead of just typing 2 in over and over again, we're going to fill down. So we're going to just take that top item and fill it down. Do you see that? Now, what I've already done here is on the left under the column for E, you'll see I already have the totals in here. So sometimes you want the totals on the left-hand side, sometimes you want the totals on the right. These totals are displayed right next to the person's name, which I think is an easier way to see it. So when you double click in the row, in the field for the 60, go ahead and double click. And what Excel tells you is what data pieces are included in that calculation. So you see how it makes the whole line blue. That's telling you that all those blue fields are included in that calculation sum of 60. So now if I, and you don't have to do this, okay? So if I changed all of these to 4s, notice how my totals on the left are changing. I'm going to put them back to 2 because I already had that calculation in. And all I did was tabulate it so the calculation went left instead of right and not down. My fill isn't working, Susan. You got to grab it from the bottom right-hand side. There has to be a little green button on the bottom right-hand side. Okay, so now let's sum up each one of these rows, or excuse me, each one of the columns. So we're going to sum January, February, March, all the way to June. So again, easiest way to do that is to just put your cursor in the field right below the numbers and hit Alt plus equals. And now you got your, does it say 94? Does everybody get 94? And then once you get that tabulation of 94, then you can, and Susie, here's your fill, okay? You can grab the field, grab the little green button at the bottom right-hand side and fill it over. And now you have your calculations down at the bottom as well. Instead of going through every column and summing them up individually, you can simply take the calculation that was on the January column and then duplicate that calculation across the rest of them. Now, why is the error symbol there? Very good question. That's the next thing I'm going to address. So this error right here, what this is telling you is that Excel is smart enough to ask you if you want certain numbers within your calculation. So it's saying, hey, look, there's a number field up here at the top, but it's not included in the sum. Do you want that number included in the sum? Now, this number is a date field, so we don't need it included in the sum, but that's what it's basically saying. It's, hey, do we need to include that in our tabulation? And we're going to tell it no. We are fine with how it is, so you can literally ignore the error and everything is okay. It's actually a good catch. It's good for you to investigate why the error is there. It's just I know why it's there right now. Okay. Does everybody have these numbers on their screen? Okay, excellent. Okay, good. All right, so then going back here. So again, some basic formulas, that was just adding and subtracting. And if I had cut out the explanation time of showing you to do that, it probably would have taken about 30 seconds. Because once you get good at using the Alt plus equals and filling down and filling over, 85% of what you do in Excel will be those kinds of calculations. So any questions about those simple basic formulas that we just did? And we're going to do some more. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. Next, we're going to work in multiple notebooks. So let's go over to, and by the way, we are going to have some shortcuts in here as well. So let's go over to the next tip that we're going to have, or shortcut, and that is being able to move between notebooks really quickly. So on your keyboard, go ahead and take a look at the control key. So find the control key on your keyboard and find the page up and page down buttons on your keyboard. Now, if you're working on a laptop and maybe those aren't there, my apologies, but find the control key and the page up and page down because we're going to use that shortcut. All right, so back over to our workbook. So let's go into the program data tab again. Go to the final report tab. And remember I showed you what the final report's going to look like. It's going to have a nice orange chart at the top and a nice blue chart at the bottom. And right now we don't have anything. We just kind of have a straw man of a workbook. So first off, we're going to put in the totals for the January to June program status numbers. So you put your cursor in field C5 where I have it now, hit the equal sign, just hit equals, and then click on the program data entry tab, and then click on the 50, because we want that workbook to pull in that number 50 on our report for the program status. Once you select 50, then hit enter. Did 50 show up on your January through June 2020 column? Excellent. Excellent. So you told this tab to talk to the other tab. Now, you can fill down to get the other ones in. You don't have to go back and forth between them, because remember, Excel with the fill down feature, it takes whatever function is being done in the top field and puts it in the bottom field and then the one below that. Were you able to get all the 3 numbers in there? Excellent. Okay, wonderful. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in some targets. So let's say our targets for January through June was to have 35 people served in each group. So 35 children, 35 women, 35 men. So you can put 35, you can just type it in, or you can do a fill down. And now we're going to put in a calculation for the actual minus the target. So to do subtraction, you hit the equal sign, you click the 50, and then the minus sign, and then you click the 35. So you do equals, and then you click one field, and then minus, and then the second field, and then you hit enter. And that'll give you 15. Did that work? Okay, great. All right, so the next tip I'm going to show you is, yes, you could do a fill down and get the calculations. Can you please do it again? Okay, so here we are. I'm in the actual minus target. I do equals, click one field, minus, and then click the other field that I want to subtract. Equals, click one, minus, click the other, and then hit enter. Now, to fill, I could use a fill down now to, so much easier than the way I'm doing it. Thank you, Kathy. Yes. Wait, it's getting easier. Okay, so now instead of using fill down, I want you can do a Control C. So if you click on the 15 and do Control C, then don't do anything until I say. So now you've copied that formula. Now, when you put your cursor in the field below, don't hit paste, but just hit enter. That tip shows you that you can copy something from it in Excel and then put your cursor any other place and then just hit enter, and then it pastes in. It's like a shortcut to Control V, I guess you could say. And yes, Kathy, you could just fill down. The thing about Excel is that there's so many different ways to do it. I want to incorporate different ones so you can gravitate to the one that works well for you. Now here's another tip. You don't have, again, you could fill down, you could do a copy and then an enter and then it pastes it, but here's another way that you can get information from one field into another. Notice I'm on I'm on E7, I'm below number 4. I can do a Control D, and that copies the calculation from above into the field where my cursor was. Control D is like a quick fill down. Control D. Did it work? I'll show you again. I can just be in the field, hit Control D, kind of like ditto. Yes, there you go, it's a ditto. You do Control D and it takes the calculation from above and puts it in the field where your cursor was sitting. I use it every day, all the time, because now I can get information into a field using my left hand, so that makes me faster, instead of using my mouse to do the functions. They all work the same, they all give you the same end product, but the name of my game is teaching you how to use both your hands to navigate your system so that you can actually be twice as fast in your work. Yeah, it's really quick. Okay, you guys, you got this? Okay, great. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of formatting here. So I'm going to copy all of the grid here, and I want everything to be centered. I don't like the way everything's pushed off to the right there. So let's do a centering. So I'm going to highlight and then just choose the center option here to get everything kind of lined out easily. All right, so that's the program. That's the program data, and now we're going to move over into volunteer status. And notice this is totally blank. So we are starting from basically scratch here. So we want to have listed here all the people's names, their first and last name, their email addresses, and then the total volunteer hours that they volunteered to date. So we're going to go into into cell B13. I want you to hit the equals sign and then go over to the volunteer tab, click on Charles. So you do equals and then Charles and then hit enter. And now you should have Charles's name in the volunteer status section. Did that work? You do equals and then you go to the volunteer tab and enter. So now I want more than Charles to be listed on my report, right? So Lee can do a fill down and get it all the way down to Susan. And if you go too far, that's okay. So fill down to pull the data from one tab over into another. Beatrice is asking, can you choose more than one tab? Yeah, you can have data coming from 17 different tabs into one tab, for sure. I'm just showing you two right now. So you have program data coming from one tab, and then the volunteer data coming from another tab. All right, so now we want the whole chart. We want first name, last name, email address, and the numbers. So now you can do a fill over and get the rest of your grid listed on there. Now, why are we doing it on this tab? Is because we don't need all of the January, February, March. We don't need all those numbers. All we need is the total. So now you filled over. You have the first name, last name, email address, and number. And now let's complete our chart. You can fill down and get all the rest of them. Did it work? Okay. Didn't work? I'm going to do it one more time, but this time I'm going to do it quickly. Okay. So you can see how fast doing this really is. So I'm just going to do it quickly. So I go into one field, I say equals, volunteer, Charles, enter, fill down. I could even do it like this. Got the whole grid in here. Takes seconds. Once you learn fill down, and once you learn that it's taking a calculation from one field and it's doing the same function in others, you'll use it really, really quickly. Hope, I'm glad you love it. That's awesome. Okay, great, Philip, you got it. All right, next thing is I'm going to show you how you can fill up. Also, sounds like I'm filling up my coffee cup. All right. So we don't have titles on here, right? We don't have first name, last name, we don't have all that. So you can actually highlight the first column, and because this function is, Excel is taking data from another tab and putting it in this one, you can do the same thing for filling in your titles. So you can highlight that row and fill up, and it gets your titles in there too. So you don't even have to type your titles if you don't want to. You can just do a fill up. Got it? Okay, great. Philip, thank you. This is Kathy. This is amazing. It gets better. It gets better, I promise. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Format Painter. Oh, Beatrice, you want me to show you again? All right, really quickly. I'm going to do it fast, 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 fast. Equals, Charles, fill down, and then I'm going to fill over. These are zeros, and then take this and fill up. Done. That's it. It goes by quickly once you get the hang of it. All right, let's do Format Painter, because now there is making it look a little prettier, okay? And you can make something look pretty, and when once you make that look pretty, you can copy that format and make the other thing look just as pretty. So again, note to self, there's going to be some shortcuts in here. Okay, so let's go on over to here. And this time we're going to, so remember how earlier we used the centering option? We got all the text in here centered. But now let's say, not yet, Philip, not yet. I haven't covered that quite yet. Okay, so remember we used the centering option to get all of this text centered. So let's say I like the way this target column is formatted. Now, I know it could be, if I wanted to do something else centered, I could just hit the button. The point is, if I have nice formatting on one set of data, so if, let's say I'll highlight the 35s. So I have the 35s, I like the way they're centered, and I want to copy that format. Say it had, you know, some other blue and italicized and bold, and it was all this pretty formatting. I can copy that formatting by selecting that data and then using this button at the top left that reads Format Painter, which most of you have probably never seen, and you're probably asking me how long that button's been there, and it's been there forever. You click Format Painter. Now Excel is copying the format you just highlighted and now allows you to format the data that you want to look different. So now I can highlight the total to date, and it takes the same format that was on the target column. That works in Excel, that works in Word. So anytime you format something, if you like the way it's formatted, just highlight it, do Format Painter, and then apply it to another set of text. It's a huge, huge time saver. Yes, that's what that does, Mike. It does. That's what it does. Okay. I wanted to show you, so thank you, Philip, for going back to the control page up and down. So let's do a little quick check right now. So let's just make sure our numbers look okay. So we have our, on program status, we have 50, 39, and 31. So now hit control page down, and that takes you to the program data entry where you can validate that you have 50, 39, and 31. You control page up, gets you back to your report. So now let's do a little quick check and make sure we have the right numbers, kind of do a spot check of the numbers here. So 60, 53, 42, you can hit control down twice, gets you over to the volunteer tab, 60, 53, 42. It's always good to double check your work. So you hit control page up, gets you back to your, you do it twice, gets you back over to your final report. You definitely want to gain facility with control page up and page down, because when you start really boogieing with Excel and you start using multiple tabs, then it takes time to actually use your mouse to go and click on the tabs. Just get really used to using control page up and page down. Who did not know about that feature? Just let me know. Just say, I didn't know, or yeah, this is new for me. Tell me what you think, because I found it and it was like I found gold. I found gold. Yeah, didn't know. Yeah, new for you. Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you, Philip. I appreciate that. Okay, couple more little formatting things. Yep, Kathy didn't know. Yep, I just used my mouse, but yeah, the mouse actually makes you a little slower, to tell you the truth. All right, so now let's do another thing where let's get a total in our volunteer status report. So below the total to date, we'll use whatever function you want to use. If you want to use Alt plus minus, if you want to do fill down, whatever you want to use, go ahead and get the total into the column for total to date. And now you can use the format painter again. You can get that centered, or you could have just used the center feature. But now I want to make it a little prettier. I want to, and this is a shortcut that you probably know, and that's Control B. So I want the 414 to be bold, and I want the column, or yeah, the column headings to be bold as well. You don't have to do them separately. You can highlight the 414, hit the control, hold down the control key, and then highlight the header. So you can highlight both sets of data at the same time and then hit Control B and just make them bold at the same time. Because there's sometimes in a sheet, and even on Word, you want to bold 6 things, and then you highlight, and then you right-click bold. Highlight, right-click bold. It takes too long. Highlight all 6 of them and do Control B and highlight and get them all bold all at once. Got it? You good? Okay. All right, let's go back over now to filtering and sorting. All right, so now that we have our report data in one spot, we want to analyze it just a little bit. So we're going to do some filtering to see maybe who's volunteered the most hours with us. So now, make sure you know that there's a shortcut coming. So have your pen and paper ready for sure. Let me do, okay, oops, it's going back over here. So now with the filtering and sorting, so let's just say this had thousands and thousands of records. I know it doesn't, but let's just say we want to look at the volunteer status section, and we want to sort and filter by the people who are volunteering the most with us. Easiest way to do that is you highlight the column headings and you apply a filter. Now, let me show you the long way to get a filter, and then I'll show you the shortcut way to get it. Or actually, I'll show you my shortcut way to get a filter, and then I'll tell you how you can do that. So when you highlight this, you'll notice I have up on the top of my screen here, I have a bunch of little buttons here. These are all shortcuts on what's called the quick access toolbar. I have my filter option up here at the quick access toolbar because I use it every day all the time. So when I click that filter, it adds these column arrows to my grid. And that means now I can filter that data. If you don't know where that filter is, it's up here on the home page, on the home ribbon, and it's over here under sort and filter. You can literally right-click it and add it to your access toolbar that simply. So if filtering is something you do a lot, definitely add it to your toolbar, and then add other things to your toolbar as well. I don't have those buttons. Yeah. Is there a shortcut for Format Painter, or do we have to always? I think you can, yeah, you can add Format Painter to the toolbar as well. Who asked that? Travis. Apparently I already added it. I already added it. It's right here on my toolbar. So it's just always on the top. I divert. Okay, so now you have the filtering option set on your data. And now you can, under total to date, you can do a filter and really a sort, and you can sort from smallest to largest. And now the numbers are from descending from smallest to the bottom. And now you can see that Shannon is your star performer who's volunteered the most. If you want to go back and filter and sort by first name again, you can do that easily. The point is, though, you have to have these little arrows on every single column, or else it's only going to sort, it's not going to sort your whole data set if you don't have the arrows on all your data set. So you got to make sure it's on all the headers. Another thing you can do here is, let's say you wanted to do a filter and just see the people who have volunteered over 40 hours for you. You click the down arrow and you do a numbers filter greater than 40. You hit OK, and then the list gets shorter. It's giving me a different number. I don't have the buttons. Bill, show how to access the flyer, the filler from the sort down menu. I don't know what that means. Could you go over that again? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do an undo. So we have the filters set up. Now you have automatic options that are listed here where you could sort from smallest to largest. And you can even add more criteria like greater than or equal to. And so you can make up a parameter. So you can say, only give me the volunteers who worked or who volunteered with us over 40 hours or maybe over 70 hours. And now I have one person. Okay. And then if you want to get rid of that filter, you just do a you click on the arrow and then you clear it. Very, very simple way to consolidate information in just the way that you want to display it. Got it? Okay, so make sure that we're sorted by first name. So let's put Charles back on the top. Let's kind of get back to ground zero there. Denise, great. I'm glad you just got it. Okay, excellent. Any questions about filtering? Did you know that that feature was there? That you could do like a hit the arrow and get the greater than, less than? I mean, you can go to town on these filters, seriously. But a lot of times you can find exactly what you need by just doing the simple function first, and then you'll get more creative with what you do. All right, next one is deleting, hiding, viewing columns. Okay, another shortcut about to come. So over here, let's say on our report, we really don't need people's email addresses. You probably don't want them, right, on your report? I don't know, probably don't. So you can very easily, oh, let me show you where on your keyboard you need to look. So we're going to delete a column. We're going to remove the column for email addresses. And the way you do that is you look at the control key on your keyboard and then the negative sign. Control key and negative sign. That's for deleting a column. So let's go do that. So you'll see I have the email addresses. I'm going to highlight email address, all the email addresses, and do a control negative. Now, the Excel is asking me, okay, you want to delete these, right? And yes, we do, because that's why we hit control negative. It's asking me, what do you want to do with the cells that are next to it? And I want to shift the cells left. So it's asking me, sure you want to delete them? I'm going to say yes. I want the cells that are next to it to shift left. When I hit OK, now the cells shift, and now my report is getting cleaner. It only has first name, last name, and the number of total hours that they participated with us. And that's how you get rid of a column. If you want to get rid of a whole column, so let's say there's a column out here that you don't need, all right, you can literally just highlight that column and hit control negative, and now it's gone. Now we just highlighted a piece of a column, really, but it works the same way. And tip for you, if you want to add a column, you hit control plus. Okay, control plus adds a column, control negative deletes a column. Our report is getting more and more concise. All right, so now it's our big finish. Okay, any questions? Is there a way to hide? Yeah, you can definitely hide a column. So let's say if you, I don't know, for some reason you didn't want to have this column, you could just hide right here. Oh, the sum didn't shift left because we didn't have it in our data set. So what you can simply do here is now just do a sum and auto sum. Yep, good question. Yeah, I didn't have it in the data set. Good question, Teresa. Okay, so now we're going to do now we are on our way to getting this final report. We've done the top numbers, we've done the bottom numbers, and now we're going to add some number formatting so that, and some conditional formatting, because we want one part of the report to tell us if there's a negative number, and we want one part of the report to tell us whoever participated over say 70 hours. All right, so this is what the end product is going to look like. So let's go back over to our Excel spreadsheet, and now we're going to add what's called a condition. So we're going to add a condition because we see here we have a -4, but we want our board to see that -4 glaring, okay? So you highlight the -4. Up at the top, you'll see a button called Conditional Formatting. Again, it's one of those that might bite you if you don't see it. So if you go to the highlight rules, you can say less than. You can give this field a condition. So I want this field to show up a certain color if it's less than 0. So you go highlight rules, less than, and then you type in 0, and we're just going to go ahead and go with this formatting with light red and dark red. So I hit enter, and now if there's a number there that goes below 0, it's going to turn red. Now, you also want to make sure that you put that condition on all of the cells. So you don't want it just on one, you want it on several. Because now watch what I do here. If I put a target of 70, notice it's -20. But I want that feature, or I want that formula to count with all of the fields, so I do a fill up. And now you see that that condition applies to all of the rows because I did a fill up and copied that condition. Now I'm going to go back to 35. Did you get it? Excellent, Beatrice. Wonderful. Okay, good. All right, then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to add one more condition. So let's click on the number 60 here, and let's add a condition for highlighting in green anybody who participated over 70 hours. So we do a conditional, highlight cells, and then do greater than 70, and then let's choose green this time. So the conditional is if they participate over 70, make them green. Notice nothing changed because 60 is not over 70, but then when you do a fill down, now you got your 76 that's highlighted green because it meets the condition that it went over a certain number. Got it? Okay, last part's the easiest part, and that is now making the grid on the top orange and making the grid on the bottom blue. Again, this is a feature that would kind of bite you if you didn't notice it. But so now I want my grid on the top to be orange. I literally just highlight all the grid, go to Format Table, Format as Table up at the top, and I'll choose the orange. You can choose whatever color you want. And now it's just asking me, where's the data on your table? Is it where you actually selected? I say yes. Now I have an orange table. Now, same thing with the bottom. I want a blue table for this one. I highlight the data, Format as Table, and I select maybe the medium blue, which is right below. Hit enter. Now it's going to ask me a question here. This is asking me, this will change the filtered range for your workbook. To complete this task, please remove the auto filters. Notice because I still had those little filter buttons, it's saying we can't apply a format. And that's okay. All we have to do is remove our auto filter. So you got to remove those arrows. And those arrows, again, are removed by going over to the filter over on the top right-hand side. Once you remove them, then you can do a format table and make the table blue. This feature here is just asking you, since the formula, since you did the fill up with the formulas for the column headings, it's just saying, look, we just got to change it to text, and that's fine. You just say yes, and now it's blue. That's it. Did it work? So Kathy's saying, so when I page up, it's changing all my numbers to the same number. What am I doing wrong? When you page up, I might have to see you afterwards, Kathy, I'm not sure. Okay, so that the name of the game was to get these two sections of data formatted by using the Format as Table feature. Has anybody ever used the format as table? Has anybody ever used that? I use it all the time as well. It's really good. Yep. Did the filters return automatically? Did the filters return automatically? No, they didn't. We never removed them, Amanda. We never removed them. Okay, that gets us to the end. So you've now created, using lots of tips, lots of tricks, and lots of shortcuts to create two reports, two sections of the same report formatted. So what are your takeaways? What are you now going to go use and go ye forth and multiply? Tell me in the chat. Sandy, I love it. That's great. Yes, it's great for you. Autofill. Yeah, autofill's great. All of it, Darla, all of it. Okay, great. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, good. Yeah, it's jam-packed. There's a lot, and there's definitely, you gotta practice, okay? You definitely do need to practice. Okay, so here are my formulas, shortcuts, definitely. All right, so here's my invitation to you. So I do these, I love leading these webinars. I love knowing that I can give information to people and then they go and they make themselves perform at a higher level. I love it, love it, love it. So what we do is I've created a landing page that has a lot of my different course offerings on there. So I do stuff on Microsoft Outlook. I do stuff on how to save 10 hours in your work week that you didn't know you lost. And I also do in-person workshops. So the name of my game is to be in front of people, to give them knowledge such that it makes them be able to perform better at their job. So I do it in person. I also do obviously other online workshops. And so my invitation to you is to go to the link there that's on the screen and check out what we have. And you can just call me for a free 15-minute call and we can do a consultation. So I can show you what can be available by you mastering technology tools and mastering how they facilitate your job. So any other questions that people have, let me know, because this is my contact information. You are free to contact me at any time. You can never call me too much, email me too much. I want to hear from you and also hear what questions you have for this session. So I'm going to go to the chat here. Samantha, thank you. This is awesome and so clear. Practice, practice. Yes, Debbie, practice. I need to go back. Yes, Mary, for sure. Would you be able to explain the subtotal feature? Yeah, hold on, Susie, and then I can kind of walk you through it after we're done. Thanks for your help. It was great. I receive. Yes, Shannon, you're going to receive the video link to this for sure, because I know we went through a lot. But what other questions do you have? And what are you going to go off and use? What's one of the features that you said, wow, I really didn't know that that was available. This is going to make my life so much easier. Oh, and please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always out to stay connected via that platform. So my LinkedIn address is right there on the screen. Please, please do connect with me. I would love to stay in touch. Darla, formatting and tables. Yes. Sometimes just having color on the data makes it look just that much better. So if you can do the formatting and the tables and adding some conditional criteria on that to call things out, it'll definitely help you. Debbie, I'm going to do proposals. Got it. Beatrice, this is so helpful when working with tabs. Yeah, tabs talk to each other. They talk to each other. So you definitely want to use that. Okay, so now subtotals. So let me see. So Susie, Ginger, can she take herself off mute so she can describe a scenario and then we can walk through it? Can you do this on Google Sheets? You can do, yes. You can do, so Catherine, you can do this stuff on Google Sheets. The buttons are in little different places and certain features, certain shortcuts don't work, like Control D does not work on Google Sheets and it kind of annoys me. But the functions are there, you don't get to them the same way, and the shortcuts don't operate in the same consistent format. And use Chromebook. So Philip, I would love to get into working with tabs and graphs together. Yeah, that's powerful there. Okay, so did she take herself off mute? She did, right? Shannon?
Yes, yes, she's unmuted.
Okay, great. All right, Shannon, what you got?
I might have unmuted the wrong person. Who was I
It's
supposed to
Shannon.
unmute? Oh, I unmuted somebody different. Sorry.
Sally Matthews questions on the viewing data while keeping headers in the right spot.
I thought Susie had a question about subtotal features.
Oh, it was Susie. It was Susie.
Susie, I unmuted, yeah.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right, Susie, what you got? I still don't hear her.
Yeah, she's now muted again. I thought I unmuted her.
Okay, and then is Sally Matthews still on?
Yes, I'm still on.
Okay. What was your question, Sally? I'm glad you're off mute.
I have a very wide spreadsheet that has, headers, and it also has columns down the side. And when I want to maintain the headers, but move over to the very far right and still be able to see everything on the spreadsheet.
You mean
I've got 12 months, and I want to move over to, say, July and August.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see what I'm looking at on the left hand for my.
You want to freeze that. You want to freeze that column.
Yes, that.
Okay. Freeze the column. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that.
So this is how you freeze a column. So let's say I wanted to freeze this column. I know that probably doesn't make any sense, but so I have to kind of test it out a little bit because while I use it, I kind of don't remember where to put my cursor sometimes. So let's say, I think it's under data. Where's freeze columns, you guys? I know somebody here knows. Where is freeze column? Because I think I even have a shortcut for it. Yeah, I sure do. Okay, it's freeze panes is what it is. So you can, again, I have a shortcut, so just bear with me. I put my shortcuts and then I forget the real way to actually get it. So under here, there's a freeze first column. So let's say, let me get rid of this. So I have it highlighted, and then when I go up here, it's freeze first column. And now when I scroll to the right, it stays.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so where is it? Is it under data? Where the heck is page layout? Where is freeze? It's my problem with having shortcuts.
It's frozen.
I know. Review. Bill, do you remember where it is? Where freeze columns is located? Here it is, under view. Yay, freeze columns. There it is, under view.
Or freeze.
Yeah. So when you do freeze panes, that is gonna, it's not limited to the first column. So see my screen here?
Yes.
It's doing multiple.
Okay, yeah. That's exactly what I needed. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Same thing with the horizontal, obviously, right? You can do the do the same thing there. Yeah, great question, Mary. We're still recording, right, Ginger?
Yes, we're still recording. Good. And Susie's unmuted now.
Okay, great.
Unmuted.
Susie. All right, Susie, what you got?
I was working on a budget, and they had subtotal columns, and I didn't know how to work that. I couldn't figure out how it didn't, when it went to the total, it added up the subtotal columns, but when you looked at the total, it was as if it was the, all 30 columns, and I couldn't understand why it didn't factor in the subtotals when it, or double it, I should say.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do a really simple calculation here, okay? So if I do subtotals here, right? And I'll make these blue. And then you had like another set of subtotals, like it was like, again, like this, 8 and 8, 12 and 12. And then you have total, right?
Right.
Okay. This field here, you actually have to manually enter equals 8 plus 8.
Okay, so I'm going to try and find it for you. He did not do that. It didn't say, that's what I would normally do.
Right.
Somehow theirs just showed H4 through, H16, but the two subtotals weren't factored in there, and I didn't know how he did that.
Yeah, you might have to just delete it and then totally redo it.
No, yeah, I had to redo it my own way, but I had never seen that subtotal feature before, and I showed it to someone else who knows Excel, and they'd never seen it either.
Yeah, I'd be really curious. By the way, we're 3 minutes over, and I didn't say that, we're at time, and I'm just going to hang out and answer more questions for you all. So thank you for attending. If you need to go, I get it, and I'm happy to stay here and answer more questions. So thank you all for attending. Really, really happy to have you. Appreciate you. Yeah, so I don't know. I'd be really curious to see what he did.
I can find it. I think it was on a share.
But yeah. Yeah, but that's the way you do it, is you just you do the plus one, you do equals, select the one, and then plus the other, and that's the easiest.
That's how I normally do it, but it actually had a subtotal feature.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I've never used that. I'm not sure. Okay, what other questions? What other questions do you have? Get back to the chat, see if there's Bill, did you see anybody else that had some questions? Thank you so very, Sally. They're very informative. You covered a lot of, I know, we covered a lot of ground here. I know. Definitely. Okay. Thank you, Ginger. Yes. Yes, if anybody has any more questions. But Philip, thank you. If you're still there, it was under the view tab. See, that's the thing with my shortcuts and my quick steps. I forget how to actually do it in real time. So the formal way. So any other questions? And Margarita, thank you for joining us from Austin. We got that call from you yesterday, and I was just really tickled that you were able to attend. So thank you for joining us. Okay, any other questions? Kathy loves some of the shortcuts. Yeah, they're really good. Well, wonderful. Okay, well, I appreciate your attending. Thank you so very much. And you will be getting a video of this, so you can go back and practice. And until then, have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we will chat soon. Bye.